Hi and welcome back. Right, as you can possibly see, we had a slight problem beforehand in that the system crashed, unfortunately. Now, what I'm going to do is just get back to where we were. We haven't missed a lot. All it was this part here hadn't been made in the AutoBack file. So what I'm going to do is just quickly rebuild that. And I'm just going to use the shift and drag just to clone that to an object, and we'll call this the guide rail lower, because there's going to be two of them. You may ask why there's going to be two of them. Well, I'll demonstrate in a minute. It's one of those things that I quite like. It's a bit clever. Okay, so let's just flip this. Select it all, and just shift and drag it. And then I'm just going to use the bridge tool by edge. Okay, next unhide all. And I'm going to hide this top part for the moment. Because I just want this bottom bit here. Just there. Okay, and what I'm going to do is just pull it up by polygon on the top. Now there's two polygons there actually, so what I need to do is, oh yeah, the two polygons are at the side, that's okay, I got that wrong. Just pull this up to here, and I'm going to select here and just do a quick ring, connect, chamfer, and then grab a polygon, bring that up there like that, and then grab this polygon and extrude straight out, or in, or actually no, I think I'll just keep it the way it is. I don't really need a ton of extraneous detail on there. Okay, so we've got this shape. Now what I'm going to do is duplicate this shape, or rather the end thereof, by doing that. Detach as a clone, and this is guide rail top. Okay, take that, and I'm going to just invert it, if I've got the right piece selected. I'm going to select by border rather than by vertex. Bring that to about there. Scale it. And then I'm going to cap that. So, well, I'm not going to bridge it, but same thing. Okay, and come out. Now, if I unhide all, whee, look at that, how messy. Unhide all, and I'm going to attach these parts in. So, if I attach that, then on the bottom here, if I attach, just see it in there. That. Okay, this means that these guns now have a place they can basically be placed away. Now, what I'm going to do is do some more work on these guns. So, we have an ammo feed comes in on the side here. So I'm going to pay attention to that soon, because I think the magazines should move down with this anyway. But I'm not going to build the magazines yet, because if I do, it'll copy it onto the wrong side of this. Now then, let's just make sure we still have, yep, that is still working, good. And all I'm doing is just starting to get the holes in this ready. So I'm going to do a tiny inset like that, and then I'm going to extrude them straight in. Now notice that is offset there, so I'll just offset another one here as well. Now I'm going to grab this end piece and inset it, and then bevel it, and then bring it back in. Right then, now along the sides here, and I want to make some panel areas, so I'm going to make one here and here. Just doing it on both sides simultaneously. Okay, this is quite easy to do, so I'm just going to inset it a teeny bit, bevel it down and in, bevel it up and out. Okay, and that gives us a nice little panel area there. We can do some placement on that in a few minutes. Now at the top here, got one here, and again just going to do a tiny inset, then a bevel. Now I prefer doing this by local normal, so I'll just do it by local normal instead. If it's not going quite right, just right click. You'll notice sometimes it's quite hard getting the right height on this kind of thing. But all we want is just raised areas. Okay, so I'm going to take this area here. Oops. I don't want to bevel it yet, so I'm just going to right click out. Okay, just bring it like that. Now what I'm going to do is just use the inset tool, and I'm just going to use the sliders this time. Now the bevel tool. You'll notice you get a much more precise, much better look if you do it this way. Incidentally, you may notice that I'm now going into high polygon mode. I mean, basically the roughed version that I showed you was our low polygon mode. Just in case you were wondering. Just going to work on this. Just really getting some detail in now. We don't want to make this too big because it won't be able to swing in. We want it big enough that we're going to have our kind of vents and so on here. It's almost like a turbine really, isn't it? I'm just really just messing around with the bevels here. Bevels are great fun for sketching with, because you can sketch in 3D. That's kind of part of the fun of this, is just doodling and coming up with shapes you like. There we are. And then if I click grab, or grow rather, I'll just use the move tool. You just move things around, which kind of loses that sense of conformity that we had before. Although it does make it look a bit like googly eyes. which is quite funky actually. I might move those down instead. Okay, so I've made some nice plates here. Now I'm going to apply a little smooth to this. And I'll turn it to about 22.5 on the auto smooth. That's usually enough. There we are. Just so that I can see kind of where I've applied plating, where it's working, where I think it might not be working. Okay, now if I look at these ends, and they're okay, but really I could do with make them a little better. So I'm going to show end result. Just go into here. Now that I don't have the luxury of being able to jump into I've forgotten that. Forgotten what I was saying now. I can't just ring it, yeah, because there's, as you can see, an extra edge here. So we're gonna have to just kick in a chamfer. We can see where we are. I'm just gonna have to do them all manually. Oh yeah, that sounds like some sort of small cat-like creature scampering about. Okay, and just reduce the chamfer amount a little, like that, and then again. Okay, and that gives us that nicer, more curved shape at the end, which is way more appropriate for what we want, really. We can also do that in here. If we so desire to. So I probably will. I don't think that inset was really quite enough, so I'll just inset it a little bit more. That's better. And then again, it's just the same as last time, just selecting them by edges. And I'll just click the chamfer tool so we can see that I've correctly selected the ones that we need. Hopefully I won't get as much of a memory leak using Internet Explorer as I did with Firefox on my broadcast tool. Not that it really matters, because I'm the only person actually in the broadcast lounge at the moment. Come on, people. If you want to make an impact on tutorials and how they're played out, you do have to participate. I don't really mind, but it's just kind of me in there, which is a bit bizarre. Okay, and down here. And here. I'll give a shout out and a hello to Eric over N-Power Tools. He's given me quite a lot of support recently. Came up with the idea of the 3D Palace Facebook group. Hopefully I'm going to bump into Eric if I get invited to end user event again. I did enjoy that this year an awful lot. Okay, press that and we can now see if that's working or not. Yes, it is. That's cool. Now, over here, you'll notice there's no real separation here, which I don't really like. So I'm going to build a separation area here. So if I just select these and do a ring and a connect. Now what I'm going to do this time is just slide it down towards the middle a bit more, like that. And click OK. Now if I just go in here, you see no maker's marks. It's a solid piece. It wouldn't look like that. What I'm going to do is do a ring, Control, select by polygon, and I get that area there. Now if I do an extrude by 0, make sure this is on local normal as well. Extrude by 0. Okay, and now I can just grab my scale tool and just scale it any way I want, really. Bring that in just a little like that. And if I turn off select by polygon, you should see now we have that much nicer edge going in there. We can also do the same down here. So again, just do a ring, connect. You'll notice we've already got it now. We've got the same slide settings. So if we do a ring, control select by, do that, do an extrude by 0, and then scale it. Then just move that into there. Okay, and that kind of sharpens that out. At the back we don't need to do that anyway. Okay, so that's quite a nice little point. Now then, as I've already said, I'm not going to bother worrying about the ammo belt feed unit. I'm just going to put it straight in here. So, I'll delete that one for the moment. It's just taking up additional space. I didn't want to convert that to an edible patch. I'll convert to edible poly. And I need a feed unit to come in here, where our ammo is going to come in. So an inset first, then an extrude by 0 on local normal. Now what I'm going to do is just scale that and bring that into there, like so. Then I can bevel it in and back. Okay, and then we have a belt feed area for this. Next, we need some sort of screws or some sort of industrial bolting mechanism to hold the damn thing together. So, again, I'm going to create a cylinder. Nice small one this time. Zoom in. Now, because I've reset max, I've got to reset everything. Do that. Convert to editable polygon. Now, I want a nice screw top shape, so for this one, I can't really bevel it because it's tiny. If you look, I've not got the sensitivity I need. So, I'm going to have to use the slider for this. There we go. And I'm going to do it by local normal as well. Change my height now to 0. Apply, move my height down. Apply, height up again. Because I want a screw head. Let's apply, bring that down. Apply. And then OK. So that gives us this kind of rounded shape here, which is OK, but we need to do a little bit more to that. So what I'm going to do now is create a box. And I'm just going to try and get the sides the same, which is easy enough. It's just a bit big. There we are. Let's create that shape. Convert to editable polygon. I'm going to extrude by polygon. Okay. Now I'm going to align this to this. Then bring it up a little. Like so. And then I can just do a Boolean. Compound object. We can use a pro Boolean if you want. We're going to do a subtraction, so let's start picking. There we go. Let's convert it back to an editable poly. I don't really need it not to be for the moment. You can tidy up those polygons if you desire. Nice little bolt, that one. Okay, now max script, run script. And I'm going to go all the way back to my, I think it's my storage OneDrive. Here we are. And down here we'll see our placement tool. And I'm going to set this as my selection source, pick my distribution, and it's going to be that. Okay, and now I can go into place. And I can start placing this piece on it. And as we see, it's about the right size, which is good. So if it was too big, it would be horrendous. Now, how we place this is important. So I'm going to put up guidelines so we can see what we're doing. One there. And the good thing is that if I just drag my pen while I'm placing it, you'll notice it's a non-uniform in the way it does it. There we go. Now, I'm just going to... So I'm just resuming the record, just really putting these in a logistical place. Just anywhere where I think, you know, that we should have just a marker really to show where the plates are that are holding this together. I mean, if you want to be extra fancy, you could have made those special kind of ones that Sony uses for its PlayStations with a Y shape on, or was it Nintendo or whatever. But, I mean, really, that's entirely up to you. This job really is just a case of making it look like it's held together with these rather nice industrial-sized giant screws. I mean, we can use smaller ones, and you can use lots and lots more. It's entirely up to you. Don't be tempted to put them here, because it won't work. It'll just look awful. Just want them on the main body here, just acting as kind of a maker's mark. You can probably put some here. Just to kind of denote how this is held in place. It gives it strength, not physically, but it kind of gives you an idea of how it's held together and, you know, how it's going to stay together. Now we can put some here, not that it will be seen very often. However, if you're doing this, you may as well give the mechanical impression that it is held together using something. And you'll notice that by putting these in, it cuts out the need for us to add loads more extraneous greeble detail. There we are. Now this piece here is flat, it's not at a 45-degree angle like everything else, so we could possibly get away with putting two here, as long as they're very carefully aligned. And maybe if I just drop into there, another one here and here. But not in the end, or on the end rather. Just going to have a look under here. And there. Okay, so you see what difference that's made already. Turn off place and just minimize that. And now I'm just going to use the attach tool just to attach these on, obviously. And if you've got a whack-on pen, it does make a big difference just being able to zoom around it using that. There we are. And down here. Just add all these to the model. on the sides here. Okay, just check it out, make sure I haven't missed any. I'll get rid of the original piece because I don't really need it. Okay, so now that's held in place there, which is good. So next I have to look at the ammo feed. Now the question is always going to be, is the ammo feed going to be static or is the ammo feed going to be, an animated piece? I mean, for the minute I think it's probably going to be best if I just make it a static piece. So what I'm going to do is just grab this section here, shift and drag and bring it out like so, and I'm just going to clone it to an object. Now then, I'm time I named this, so I'm going to call it the lower gun 01, and this is our ammo feed 1, like so. Now I'm going to get rid of some of the parts I don't need, so get rid of that. Get rid of any verts I don't need. There, and there. Straighten it up at this end. Just make sure all the edges are as straight as I can. Not that one. As I can manage. Okay, that looks fine. Now what I'm going to do is make an ammo chain from this. There's a couple of ways I can do this. I could either extrude it out and just have it as like a block feed, or I can have it as a proper bullet feed, depending on what kind of level of detail you want to go to here. My view is we're already at a fairly high level of detail anyway, so I can't see any logical reason why we couldn't keep it going. Well, I can think of several, but I'm not going to use any of them. So let's just create a proper ammo feed. So shapes. Nope. Compound. Nope. Here we are. Standard. Yes. Cylinder. I'm going to drag it out from here. Just use an auto grid. Bring it to about that size. And I'm going to rotate it. So I'll just use angle snap. Rotate it 90 degrees. Oops, don't want to be moving things. There we go. Now, as we can see, our shell is pretty small. So what we need to do is get this fed into this belt feed system and make it look more like a proper bullet. So I'm going to convert to edible poly. Grab here and start doing some beveling. And you'll notice I'm just going to use the type in tools here. And just start messing about with this. Try and get a decent bullet type shape. It's not too difficult, you just have to kind of round it down like that. And you will eventually receive that as a shape. Just about as bullety as it gets, really. Now at the back here, remember, because it's a bullet, I'm going to do the bevel again. I'll just reset it. Apply. Now a height of 0 and bring that in. Now that I've got to do this properly, from what I can remember, because being British, I've never actually seen a gun, real or imaginary, ever, because we don't have them. Apply, bring this in again. Click OK. There we go. So that gives us that shape on the back there. We don't need this. Don't get me wrong. We really don't need that, but we're going to do it anyway, so that's what matters. Now then, let's look at this, which is our kind of bandolier thing. Which is definitely too long now, so I'm going to bring that to about there. And let's find the pivot. Now, we're going to have to use our old friend Firefox for a moment, so I'll just open that up. Wait a moment for it to open, because we need a reference. Because you see, the nice sketch that we got off the nice solar kit is good and all, but it's not a really detailed reference. It's not exactly going to allow me to do tons and tons of detail. That's the job of the artist as much as anything. Here we are. So, if we put in ammo belt, and I mean, I'm not going to make an exact one, but it'll give us an idea. Now we need a nice large image. There's a nice Chinese one there. There's a bandolier belt. This looks like the kind of thing we need. There, so you can see now how these kind of fit together on this chain here. So all we need to do really is build the chain system that goes around them. So, let's get rid of that. I think I can afford to make these a bit longer as well, which is quite nice. I think I'll just make it longer from this point. There we are. And I might shrink down this bit as it shows in the image. There, that's quite nice. That'll do. Okay. Now what I'm going to do then, possibly extend that end piece there as well. Yeah, that looks better. Okay, now I'm going to build the chain system that goes around it. So, what I'm going to do is just grab this edge, do a connect, click OK, and I'm going to chamfer this middle part here, just to about there, and then I'm going to select these middle polygons, and I'm going to just detach them as a clone. I don't need to give them a name at the moment because it's going to be attached to this anyway. Okay, now if I select this little piece here and just flip it, or I can just extrude it actually, which will probably be easier. So extrude by local normal, not so much though. There we are. Next, I'm going to take the inside parts here. I don't actually need to, so I'm not going to bother now. Think about it. So I'm going to take some polygons here and bring those back. And let's see, probably at the bottom as well. Like that. Now at the side here, I'm going to just extrude this by 0. Forward, do it of both sides. It needs to be equal. So extrude by 0. And then I'm just going to flatten them. And then I'll take these ones first. Let's move it to about there. Move that to about there. Next I'm going to grab here, ring and a connect. Just do 2 connects like so. And just going to extrude these ones out a little bit. And the same on this side. I think these are too big actually, these chain parts that I'm building. So what I'm probably going to have to do is reduce these in size a little bit. So I'm just going to inset these and bring them down. Seems about right. That's too small actually. There. And then here and here. Bring all these out. Actually no, don't need to bring that one out. Or these ones. Okay, just extrude them a little. Like so. Delete these bottom ones. And a hinge from edge. Pick hinge, it's going to be this one. 180 degrees and let's say 6 sides. No, 6, not 3. Click OK and mash delete. Then here, hinge from edge. Well, once I've deleted that one, hinge from edge, pick hinge. That one, no, pick hinge. Oh, hang on, I haven't selected a polygon, have I? There we go. Control A just to select all the verts, and I'm going to do a quick weld, just get rid of the excess ones. That one just got rid of itself, which wasn't good. Let's do that again, which means my weld was set at too high a threshold. There. Gives us these. Next, what I'm going to do is just create a quick cylinder. Just coming out of here. Convert to editable polygon. Pull that back through there. Like that. And then I can just attach. Like so. Oh, and that. Okay, and that is a nice simple link, which I can then just do that with, like so, as you can see. Okay, so if we've got this as our feed belt, if I just go into my viewport here, I can now create a path for it to go along, and if I just use a line for this, now if I consider this is where it's going to start, I'm going to turn off auto grid and have it come from here. Now then I need a drag type to be Bezier, I think will be fine, yeah. So click, come here, I can adjust this more as I need to. And let's bring that up into there. Like that. Okay, now let's look at this spline. Apart from not being in the right place, it's not too bad. Now then, I'm going to move parts of it. Just over to there, I'll just adjust that accordingly. You have to keep some semblance of smoothness into this, otherwise it's going to look a bit weird. So just to be careful to keep this nice and even. Okay, so if we have just this path now, and this bullet, what we can do is use a Shift-I, which gives us our spacing tool, pick our path, like that. Hang on. Okay, and then we can increase the count. Now, as you can see at the moment, it's not actually following particularly well. But we do get various options for this. The only problem is it's not actually following it, which is a bit of a problem here. So if we click follow, as you can see, part of the problem now is that it's not actually following it on the correct axis, which is a bit of a problem, unfortunately. So if we look at the axis of our spline, and then the axis of this, and what we can do is just shift and drag, make a copy of it, and I'm going to effect pivot only, and I'm just going to rotate my pivot 90 degrees straight down like that. Shift-I, pick my path. Okay, now as you can see, it's kind of starting the wrong way and then going the right way. So we are still having problems with this, unfortunately. Now we could set it so that it's got a lookout constraint in order to make that work, or another method is we can just bind this object as a shape to the path and just copy it ourselves, which is usually going to be easier unless we've got an object like a circle or lights or whatever. So if I just grab this and just shift and drag, and I want to make sure I'm just obviously shifting and dragging it correctly. And then let's make, say, about 50 of these for the moment. We can get less if we need less later. So you see that's a nice long ammo belt. And I'm just going to attach all these together. So if I get this one, I think I'll add them from the second one. That way I've always got a spare to fall back on if I need to. Click the attach button and just, just do them all. So what I'm doing is just attaching all of these. That's why I like the Wacom. It saves me a lot of time doing stuff like that. Okay, then, so with that we can then bind that to the path. So what I'm going to do now is consider using the path. Sorry, I think I must have paused there. Yep. What one of the options is here is to use path deform. Now the problem with path deform is, and I'll pick this out for you in the world space modifiers, which should be, there we are. No, that's patch deform. Hang on, path deform just underneath it. Now if we pick the path deform and pick our path, which is line 2 here. Now don't worry about that. Let's just pick our correct axis, which I think is X. Now you can see, oh look, it's kind of going in the right direction, more or less. However, we have a problem here, in that if you look, it's bending the bullets. Yeah, they're A, facing the wrong direction, and B, they're bent. And even though we can change the, amount down the path that they are, the amount of warping that we're getting on these is unacceptable for what we want. So there's a couple of options we can go for with this. The thing is, persevering with the line follow tool, again, pick my path. There it is there. Well, obviously this one's got the wrong axis on it. Hang on a sec. I've done it again, you see. So again, change the pivot point on this. Down by 90. Turn off pivot point. So again, if I just select only these and isolate the selection. Shift-I. Pick my path. Now, as you can see, the problem again is that it's not really following particularly accurately, simply because it's twisting at the end there, where the line basically makes its twist to go in the other direction, and that's no use to us, unfortunately. Now, I mean, we can change the method that we use to kind of space these out, but it's not going to change the fact that these are not pointing in the right direction at all. I mean, admittedly, we do have a great degree. Did it the wrong way there. Admittedly, we do have a great degree of freedom in what we're doing with our line, but this kind of flip over here really isn't too much use to us. Another alternative would, of course, be to use the. You could use a follow tool in the oh god, what's it called again? Animation toolkit, just over here. If we were to use a position X, Y, Z and use follow, and then you took a snapshot of it, say every 6 frames, that would also work. But when it comes down to it, I think what we're going to have to do is bite the bullet and do it ye old-fashioned, unpleasant, ye hardy way, which isn't really that unpleasant or hard at all when it comes down to it, and just force an IK chain on it. So, X isolation mode could be considerably worse. IK chains aren't that unpleasant. Let's get rid of this, and that, and that. I mean, after all, at least we've looked at all the various pitfalls involved. Now, I'm going to grab this, and I'm going to just shift and drag it to about here, and make myself, let's say, no more than 24 copies, because that should be more than enough copies for what I need. Okay, now what I need to do is shut this window, because there's a cat singing outside my window. If I can work out how to open my curtain. There we are. Right. Now what I'm going to do is do some linking. So, close that down because we're not going to use it. All I'm going to do is select and link one object to the other all the way down the hierarchy here. Being careful as I can, obviously. There we go, just keep them coming. I seem to have a plethora of bloody cats in my office at the moment. I think they want my turtles. Nearly done, all the way to the end. Okay, now, what I'm going to do now is just basically add a little bit of zigzag into this. So up 2, down 2. Like so. Not hard, I've got angle snap on as well, so I'm only doing 10 degrees on each. 10 degrees up and 10 degrees down. And you may be all kind of, well, why are you doing that, Chris? Well, it'll look nice, trust me. Well, at least I hope it'll look nice. Considering this is a live recording set, you know, if I balls it up, you'll know before I do. Nearly there. And here. There we go. So that gives us our chain, and it's all offset nicely like so. Now, Which one's the start and which one's the finish? Well, that's the end, isn't it? So this must be the parent up here. And if I do an animation IK solver, and we'll do a history independent solver, I think. Come all the way at the end here. And now, as you can see, our ammo belt is actually mobile at last, which is good news, because it means it actually worked. Now what I have to do is, if I just bring this up a bit, you'll notice they stay locked together as well. I've got lots more control than if it was on the spline. We need to lock the first one in place so that it doesn't move too much. Yeah. So let's go over here where our base piece is, and you'll notice we can move everything from this. And if I go into my hierarchy panel here, click IK, I can turn off all activity on the rotational joints for X, Y, and Z on that one. And what that means is that this one now has to work a lot harder to be able to move this one around. Now we don't want to limit it too much, because obviously we want some up-down movement on this. So if we allow movement on the Y-axis and the X-axis, just not too much on the X-axis, then we're not going to get it rotating wrongly. Yeah, there we go. Okay, now what I'm going to do is feed this into here, which is the way it should be going, like that. And now, if we find our IK end chain effect or whatever, we can actually have it sit pretty much wherever we need it to. So if we're going to have some big outside feed tanks for this, we can have them here. And the good thing is that if I then take my bullet and link it to the body, probably shouldn't have done it that way, but if I take my bullet and link it to a dummy and link it to the body, then what's going to happen is when the body moves, the bullet chain will move with it. Now, it's not going to be too happy about this simply because I've obviously deactivated the Z-axis. So this is something we're going to have to come back to. However, it means that, for example, if we move our gun back in there like that, then we can obviously move and rotate this piece here. Oops. I think I just rotated everything. We can move and rotate this piece here to go and follow it. Okay? Hopefully you're kind of understanding where I'm coming from with this anyway. Okay, so we've came quite a long way in this part, so in the next part we're going to start putting things together and finish the assembly of this turret piece. And obviously we'll have to duplicate the ammo belt, and we'll have to duplicate the gun system here, and then we can look at, you know, how it goes up and down on the track and all this kind of fun stuff. So until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next bit.